we said that relative deprivation is a Marxist materialist theory. Marxist materialist theory that says that in societies where you have a high amount of income inequality, high amounts of poverty, will experience high amounts of crime and violence. Crime and violence. So as a social worker, part of it, as a theologian, whatever the kind of degrees that you guys are enrolled in and you guys are doing here at Jamaica Theological Seminary prepares you to do field work, social work, or to encounter with, as a professional, with people. Part of your work here is empowerment work. And part of that involves connecting people with resources. And we talk about, but relative deprivation talks about limited resources or the lack thereof. So then you spend part of your time trying to connect people with resources, which have a lot to do with how people view themselves and how they live. But then we're talking about what you go to and you look at society, but we talk and what certain societies have to deal with. And how the socioeconomics of society can also affect its cultural expressions. We talk about one of the best. They do some research. I think travel agencies conduct data every year to see the best country to travel, the best places to travel, or the most peaceful country, the most ideal countries. And they always talk about Finland and the Scandinavian countries. And then you start to study social work there. You start to look at the issue of period poverty where girls lack certain menstrual resources. And if you look at the Herflow Foundation and Shelley Weeks, who is the executive director, who I interviewed her for the podcast and for some of our shows, and I published it in an article. Shelley Weeks talks about the problem that she had to face, the problem she faced with the church, based on the ideology. Her work, part of Shelley Meeks, or Weeks, whatever her name is, part of her work involves providing awareness to people in society and also helping to end period poverty, which affects girls' ability to access education, which will prepare them for the world of work. And one of the points we said, women are the stalwarts in society, in the Caribbean and Black communities. They work. They hold up the family. We talk about, we live in a man's world with a lot of masculine posturing. But when it comes down to the family and keeping the family together, it's very matrifocal, and many homes lack a male presence. And the woman have to work hard in order to make ends meet. But when you have issues of period poverty, it affects their ability sometimes to get meaningful employment because they lack the kind of access, or maybe doing school. So she talks about the issue of period poverty. And of course, one of the United Nations SDG goal, 2030 SDG goal, Sustainable Development Goal by 2030 is to get rid of poverty. And poverty is somebody earns less than $2.50 US per day, then that person is poor. Hold on. Ricardo, you call me the same time every night when I'm teaching. As soon as I start teaching, you call me on a Monday. I know. I am doing a lecture. You can join the class if you like. But we haven't started class, but in a sense we have, because I'm making a powerful point about Caribbean thought and the work of Caribbean thought and professionals and as social workers, counselors, and so on, and what we do and how. And we talk about, I was just making the point about relative deprivation and how socioeconomics and society creates other social problems that you have to deal with. And so sometimes it's good to explore. And then as I read some of your work, your reflection papers, interaction papers, and as we study Haiti as a case study, it was quite powerful studying Haiti as a case study. Some of you talk about the problem, how we're going to fix the problem and the difficulty of fixing the problem, one paper. And then I read a paper right after that talks about fixing the problem. So actually how I marked it, how I read the papers today was quite inept, actually, and quite interesting, because I read a paper that asked a question, and then the following paper I was reading answered the question. So it was quite, I found that to be, Keisha Richardson's paper was full of, I loved Keisha's paper. She provided solutions to the Haiti issue. And we'll spend some time. I want to spend between 7:30 to 8 o'clock. I want the following students to discuss briefly their paper and how I responded. Romaine, Dane, and who was it? Keisha, and then Judine. Okay. Some of you might be. I did not. Maxine, I didn't get to you yet. Suja, I didn't get to you yet. Sasha, I didn't get to. Wait, but the only persons in the class is Dane. I didn't get to Nikayla or Keon Russell's paper as yet, but I should finish it by tonight. But because I read very fast, I go through things very quickly. It takes me 1 hour to read all your work, but I had just started. But this week has been very busy. But I'm making a very important point here. Marxist relative about the issue of income inequality and how that creates other problems in society and the work that you have to do. And so it's very important to also and we talk about solutions and issues. And then of course your work in terms of providing resources and also doing the work, the empowerment work in terms of reorienting people. Sometimes it's an ideological, people's problems stem from ideological assumptions, which the work of critical thinking helps to dispel. And we are doing the work of critical thinking in this class as post-colonial subjects who have to deal with Caribbean people, and people of color have to deal with a lot. So this is very important, but we're going to get into that in a second. We will start class in about we have only 8 persons are here. So I am going to hopefully by 7:30 everybody is here, and then we can officially begin. And when we begin, I really want to quickly go over some papers that I have marked. If we can, you guys can quickly discuss it within 20 minutes. Then we will talk about 4 very important issues that's happening in society. In fact, you guys will get a chance to participate. In fact, since the students are not here as yet, all the students aren't here as yet, and we're waiting for at least 3 more. I know one student has surgery, and we will pray for her as well. There's a student that's dealing with who was it? Was it somebody sent me a text? Was it Keisha or somebody said that they're in surgery and they won't come to class today? And Keisha, we want Keisha. We want to pray for Keisha. We want to lift her up before the Lord, before God. Okay, we want to pray that I do not particularly like Jamaican health system. I'm sorry, I don't. And for those of us, some of you don't know me, and maybe Chantel might have read a little bit about me and heard, I shared a little bit about what I'm going through in terms of my mom and what my mom and our family have to be dealing with my mom. She in 2017 or 18, she did surgery for cancer. But even before surgery for cancer, they were treating her for shingles when Sorry, they were treating her for something else when she had shingles, and it got to stage 4, or almost got to stage 4, but it was bad. And luckily, and if let me tell you, that is why let me some I'm going to share something that happened today. I shared to talk to somebody on LinkedIn. I made a response on LinkedIn. Somebody from a health newspaper talk about, oh, it's get rid of fake news, and science tried to make it seem as if they are the authority. No one is based on this class. Then you realize you study everything, even religion, even your pastor, even the politicians, the leaders. You take nothing for granted. The things that we thought were authority, even those things you must also examine and explore. The doctor says something and you run with it. Okay? They were treating her for something else. And then by the time when we did finally I said, enough is enough. We started to do our own investigation. And we have realized that it's something else. And they were treating her for something else. And we had to switch the doctor. We had to call. I was pastoring Andrews United Church at the time. I had a lot of medical doctors. I spoke with some medical doctors that I have in Mandeville. And they said, no, man, that sounds like shingles. Then my twin brother, he was in the US at the time in Jersey, spoke with some of his medical friends here, doctors. And they said, wait, no, that's shingles. Then we confirmed it's shingles. Then we took her up to Andrews and doctor something, I don't remember the name, and it was shingles. They said, hey, it has to be shingles. And she said, yes, it's shingles. But it took us 3 different doctors before we could find out that it's shingles. And they were treating us. It almost got, because shingles can lead to blindness. It can affect your ability to walk. Okay, so we are going to pray for guidance. And I'm going to talk to you about another health-related issue, the thymus. There's limited research, little research is done about the thymus. The thymus, right? Most women have the thymus. And they diagnosed my mom as having some kind of thymoma. Little research is done. But let me tell you, I'm a researcher. I research everything. I love to do research. And there's a way you do it. You do research everything. They cut my mom's heart, half of it, or all of it, and then was tricking us, the doctors, when they knew that they cut her heart. Sorry, not her lungs. They didn't cut the mouth that they said she had. It was the lungs that they cut. They cut her lungs in 2018 doing surgery because they said she had slight pain in her back. But once you have chicken pox and it's treated, it never goes away. When you talk about chicken pox is never cured. It is treated. Once you have chicken pox, it will always be in the bloodstream. Okay? It will always be in the bloodstream. So there are health-related issues that continue over time. And as you get older, it becomes worse. If it's not taken care of, and it may come with pain, and okay. Dane says shingles later.
Yes, sir. Everybody I know who have had shingles had chicken pox when they were younger.
Yes.
They are connected.
So when in 2018, she in 2008 she had shingles, and then we realized that we didn't know it was shingles, but then we realized it was shingles. Now, forward 2017, she started having these back pains. Back pain. And then she went to she had back pain, and then she didn't know what it was, and they were treating her for all kind of different things. Then they took her X-ray and said, there's something growing up. Then they said, it's cancer. Or first of all, they didn't say it was cancer at first. They said it was some moth or thymoma, the thymus. Then they rushed her into surgery, but they cut her heart, her lungs. I was not involved in the process at the time. I was not involved. I wasn't as aware of what was going on. I was here in the US. So anyways, they cut her heart, her lungs, and the doctor was like, look at this big moth. Look how big the moth was. They took, and my twin brother sent me the image and said, it was huge. The thing that I took out of it was huge, right? Then we realized that the thing started to spread. She said, they start to spread, and I don't know, she developed some problems. And then, of course, The next thing we know, we bring her, we brought her here to the US, and she's here now, and so on. Treatment, she did chemo, radiation, then chemo again, and but I tell you, I put down some prayer. Oh my, I'm telling you, man, I prayed because I believe in the power of divine intervention. That's how I am. I believe in the power of divine intervention. God will intervene. And sometimes you don't even see it, but he is intervening. I'm telling you that he will. Okay? When you pray, don't pray sleeping. When you dream, don't dream sitting. Believe and have faith, but stay away from the naysayers. Okay? Now, it's a very important point I'm about to make with my mom. The thymus. What is the thymus? When women are born, they're born with that particular. Men don't really have the thymus, but women have the thymus. I'm coming to understand, and it helps to produce extra cells, enzymes that fight that help. I mean, white cells and so on. But when you don't need it after a certain age. But for some, when you get older, but for some reason at 69, or 68, my mom was still kicking. She still had the thymus. So that people, they didn't understand the thymus, and not much research is done, but some places they know what it is. Now we are learning that probably what they cut it was the lungs. It wasn't in the mouth, but they hide behind each other. Yes? And when people don't take accountability for their actions, the foolishness continues. The foolishness, okay, continues. Bad medicine continues. Yes? Bad politics continues. Yes? When people are not held accountable. I was watching a report and did some reading. I realized what the thymus was. We don't have much time to get into that. I'm going to probably cut short. But because that's for another day, I'll talk to you guys about this. I learned about the thymus, did some study. You go and do some study about the thymus. The thymus supposed to fall off, but hers didn't. But the thymus is good, to be honest, because it helped to produce extra fighting cells. But other parts of the body, it's all over the body. But that, but the fact that she had it and it's great. I mean, she must be blessed. That's, but they try to remove it, and then it creates further problems for her. They were trying to kill her. It's as if the bad medicine made almost. So I'm telling you, I don't trust the medical system. 11 because of bad. Yes, he was stubborn. He doesn't like. Now, I'm not going to tell you I don't like medical science, but the thing is, I like to corroborate. So I'm going to go to different scientists. I'm going to go to different medical people. I'm going to do my research widely. I'm going to research widely. I'm going to get the naysayers and the haysayers and the in-between, everybody, and then formulate my own judgments and opinions. Okay? So in 2010, 11, my father he was stubborn. He didn't like to go to the doctor. So he was trying to treat himself. Damaged his, I think, multiple sclerosis or something, and he was supposed to go to the dialysis, but it was too late. They put him, they did not, they could have treated him for dialysis. They did not. They could have recommended dialysis. They did not. Okay. But of course, he was he was dragging his foot. Men don't like to go to the doctor in Jamaica. I mean, so men don't like medicine or doctor. I don't know why, but men don't. So and then I think part of the problem is that my father drank too much bitters. Talk about being, and the culture. He was always drinking bitters. I mean, we were younger, lots of bitters, and they force you a beat if you don't drink your bitters. The bitters, a single Bible or bitter wood. They just come from a bark of. No, it's good. They're powerful, but there's a way you take those things. You can't. Too much of anything is not good. Okay, but he was taking too much bitters in a sense. Wash out. Those things can destroy your inside over time if you take too much. You can't wash out yourself too much. You can't be too clean on the inside. But anyways, so then when he realized he had a problem, he was sick. He did the same thing that he was already doing. Took more bitters on top of bitters. Which created further problems for himself. So anyway, eventually he died, and but he still could have been sick. And then forward on my mom. So we are praying that Keisha, that God would guide the surgeons and the doctors that are treating her, that he will intervene in the diagnosis and in the surgery, and that she will come out victorious. We pray that whatever problems, and even now we come before you, God, on behalf of our sister, our classmate, our fellow academic and scholar, Keisha, who is unable to make it to class today because she is currently undergoing surgery in Jamaica. We pray that I just shared with the students some instances of some experiences that me and my family have had with the medical people in Jamaica. We pray, Lord God, that you will intervene. We pray that you will guide the doctors, that they will not make mistakes and provide cover her and the leading doctor right now. Give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in the name of Jesus, because you are the omnipotent God. You are the omniscient God. You are the omnipresent God. You are than that which nothing greater can be conceived. Even now, as she lay in that bed, even now, oh God, may you bring her healing, restoration, and comfort. Surround her with your power. Somebody experienced something and wrote it in a book which is now in the Bible. They wrote this experience, and I'm not going to make light. We are critical of certain interpretation, but yet still it's a powerful, but yet still all perspectives are to be explored. And somebody wrote this in scripture because this was their experience, probably. And we draw from those experiences. The angels of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him. Knock and it shall be opened. Seek and ye shall find. Ask and it shall be given. Have I ever asked for bread and given you stone? Those were the experiences of certain people with the divine, and they penned that experience in a most powerful way. And we draw from that. So if others can experience it, we can experience it. May she experience your power. May she experience your love and your divine touch. We tell you thanks for her healing. We tell you thanks for her recovery. And we pray, Lord God, that you will use this as an opportunity to grant her even more favor. That you will use it as a way to help her to continue to realize her dreams and her visions and her goals. Grant her grant her favor even now. Bless her. And I don't know if there's financial issues to be considered, but I pray that if she have financial issues regarding that, you will cover them. We tell you thanks. Open up our minds as we begin this class. Open up our thought processes. Empower us to serve others. Empower us to facilitate critical thinking. And journey with us throughout this process. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We will take a 5-minute break and then we will come back. Once we come back, we will talk. I'm going to go over 3 papers that I marked today, which I think that is important. I think is Romain here? No, he is not. He wrote, his paper was quite interesting. Dane was quite interesting. I wrote Dane here. Dane was the second paper I was going to go through, and Keisha. But I appreciate everybody's paper. I really do. It was quite powerful. Dane provided an interesting perspective, which I want to explore. It was very interesting. I like how his connections with some points, with the price of freedom and oppressive policies and so on and so forth. It was, and I will probably have him. I don't think we're going to have time to probably share the entire papers. I'm not going to have time anymore. So what I'll do, I'll just share some of my thoughts that I had but he made some important points, which I find was quite, when I find it, I'll just share it with you guys. Romain also made an important point. So we'll take a 5-minute break. We come back at 7:45, and we'll begin. We go into the lecture by just quickly reviewing. In the next 5 minutes, you're going to see a poll question that I'm asking you to respond to. a poll question, and you guys can respond to it. And once the poll ends, then that means we will begin the lecture. Okay. All right. We'll be right back. You have 4 to 5 minutes to do this. I would like all this. What is going on? I would like all the students to do this. Okay, hold on. Okay, my phone was going off. My phone hasn't been working all day, and suddenly it's working. But I have a poll. What is or are the greatest threat or threats to humanity? What is or are the greatest threat or threats to humanity? And I have China and Russia, World War III, artificial intelligence, or cryptocurrency. Okay, so that is the question. In fact, when you guys are finished, you guys, I should have asked you guys to discuss it amongst yourselves, create a breakout. No, but that's fine. We're not going to create a breakout group. But I want to see your response to that I want to see your response to that. Wait, hold on. There's a problem. Hold on. Is there an error? No. Okay, hold on, guys. There's a problem. There's a problem with this, with my, I am going to edit this poll. There's a problem with it. It's not, hold up, guys. Oh my God, end poll. Duplicate. Edit. These people are crazy. What are they doing? Control X. Add choice. Control B. They make this thing so ridiculously dumb. Can I tell you? Sorry. It's you guys gonna you guys gonna have to do this all over, because that particular poll is absolutely inaccurate. And I don't know, it's the way how Zoom, the layout on Zoom is ridiculous, it's dumb. It's, what is or are the greatest threat or threats to humanity? The question is, what is or are the greatest threats to humanity? World War III, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, China and Russia. China and Russia was one of the options. Okay, so that was the way how they have it laid out with the boxes. They have to change that. I noticed it's not, and Zoom is not the only part. The algorithm, they need to change. The algorithm is confusing. It makes you use up more time fixing it, the way they have the layout. But what is the greatest threats to humanity? World War III, AI, crypto, or China and Russia? Greatest threats to humanity. Okay, so let me save that.
Sir, I have a question. The question is, what is or are, however, it's a single choice.
No, because I'm going to explain in a second. Hold on. Save as new. Great. Wait one. Okay, this one I'm going to delete it. Delete. Okay, there we go. I haven't launched it yet. Okay, let me launch it now. There we go. I launched it. There's a reason why I said what is or are, because I have China and Russia. Some of you might say China and Russia, so that would be a R. You know what I mean? Oh, well, you guys want me to do it? You guys want to do a kind of a multiple thing? Maybe, I mean, later, when we discuss it, probably you could tell me what your second choice would be. Okay. But for now, just one choice answer. But I said what is or are, because some of the responses, the options, is two, like China and Russia. You know what I mean? I put that in one. All right. We'll be back in a second. Let me see what so We had 13 persons in the class, but now we only have 11. Who is missing? Oh, by the way, you see the poll? Did I launch it? Let me see. Yes, it's launched. Okay, there we go. Guys, welcome. How are you guys? Welcome to the class again. We actually already started at about 45, 50 minutes ago. But we will continue with the class. There is before we get into where we left off last week, one of the things that I love to do in Caribbean Thought was to discuss issues relating to, what's going on in society today. And there are several things. But before we do that, let's look at your poll question. I actually did this poll on our website, the Naipaul Corporation's website. I did it. It's also available on LinkedIn, on Twitter, several different places. But I want to compare your responses to what the responses I have elsewhere. So, greatest threats to humanity. Why do I have 5? Why is there a 5 there? I don't remember putting 5. Anyways, what is the greatest threats to humanity? 78% of you said artificial intelligence. Wow. Nobody said World War III because nobody's thinking that there's going to be a World War III. I don't know. Nobody said cryptocurrency. Quite interesting. And then, of course, China and Russia, 22%. But majority of the class believe that artificial intelligence. So I'm going to end the poll. But share results. There we go. Now, I would love to find out, why is it that some of you believe that artificial intelligence is the greatest threat to humanity? Why you guys, some of you think it's the greatest threat to humanity?
Sir, for me, several things. One, it is poised to take over the jobs of humans, which means that many people are going to be unemployed. It seems to be something that we can easily lose control of it. I don't think that those who have created understand the boundaries and the limits that thing may have. And so we might create a monster that we can't tame in the future. Okay. And I think it is also a means of control, where those who control these artificial intelligences will be able to control humans in terms of knowing everything about us, where we are, and the quick fix. Another threat I think it has to humanity is that it's going to make humanity become dunce. If I can type in something into AI and it tells me, give me a whole sermon, a whole essay, then I don't need to think. I don't need to I just type it into AI and AI give me all the answers. That's my take.
Thank you. I appreciate your response. Powerful. You said it. You said it's gonna, and most people, it's gonna take away humanity's jobs. And we talk about the dialectic of whether we live to work or work to live. And I think I wrote an article on Sunday, or I posted something up on Sunday that says, life is about people and how people relate. Yet life is what you make of it. However, Some have made life, life is what you make it. No. Life is about people and how people relate. Yet, we are told that life is what you make it and make of it. Nevertheless, moreover, some have made it for others, which create the dynamics in life. The dynamics in life is created by some who have monopoly over the created space of life. Yet life is what you make of it. But the idea of work is, I love when you talk about takes away human job. But the issue of it taking away human job, maybe we'll have to change the way we think about work. And how work has evolved over time based on how society or how we have crafted life and the dynamics therein. Say, for example, compensation and how we think about work and what work carries the greatest value over others. Maybe we have to rethink about compensation. Maybe we have to think about something. Maybe society now will and then maybe we are gonna, what we produce is gonna be more arts, and society or human beings will now think more about other things, since now they have artificial intelligence or robots that can now ultimately replace human work. But of course, if you read, we said that the Bible talks about, since we're at a theological institution, and almost all religions and people think work is important. That's what we do as people. But yet still, some work and others don't. In fact, we create a system where some create and others take. There was already some people that wasn't working. But now, but capitalism is always about profit. Capitalism is always about profit. And it always cuts labor. Talk about you maximize profit by what? Cutting labor. That was always one of the ways you profit survive, by attacking labor, by work. So, it's quite interesting, but the issue of work is quite interesting. Maybe we have to think about in terms of compensation and value. Compensation and value. One time, machines, technological machines and industrialization and so on, and took away, we were thinking about manufacturing jobs and so on. Now, when we think about chat GPT and AI, it's affecting white collar jobs, but those are some of this. But the issue of maybe we have to rethink of maybe we shouldn't tie money to work anymore. Maybe we should go back to the caveman system the barter system. Keon, yeah, stop laughing. I see that. Maybe we should go back to the caveman system then. Caveman system where we don't tie compensation to work in the way how we view compensation. But compensation remember, we created a kind of work based in compensation, based on privilege, based on value, where the teacher gets less money than the movie star. What value is the movie star providing in society as against the teacher or other way? Yes, Dane.
I came across a documentary some time ago. I'm not even sure if I'll see it on YouTube. There's a particular society where the people on that island, they do not discriminate between jobs.
Right.
So the doctor, what they do is a bartering system actually. So nobody is actually paid above anybody. Everybody provides a service for the next person. So the teacher, the doctor, the street cleaner, everybody. And in fact, based on the documentary, people who live there and the people who visit there find it quite utopic. They are happy. It's like a society where there's no care in the world and there's no judgment and there's nothing, kind of thing. And might I say, it's not a Christian society. It's not heaven and earth.
Wait, what movie is this? What's the name of it?
I can't remember. I'll have to research on YouTube if I can find.
Yes, I want to watch this. Please, once you find it, I want to watch it. This is quite interesting. But yes, it's quite apocalyptic, this whole thing of artificial intelligence. It's apocalyptic. We talk about work and compensation. Maybe the way you say, for example, Elon Musk talked about fully functioning self-driving cars. It won't work. It's difficult for fully functioning self-driving cars to work, where cars drive themselves until we improve the roadways. Okay, fine. So you improve the roadways, then you can have fully functioning cars. So now human beings don't have to drive it. We just robots or cars, can drive us around. That's quite interesting. So now what we're gonna show, I guess we're gonna have a society that's nobody gets paid, as you say, okay, and the value comes from the robots in terms of maybe human beings will now have to own robots. Each of us will have our own robot, our own artificial intelligence. It's quite interesting. This is powerful. By the way, you talk about the means to control. You talk about the issue of privacy. Your third point was quite interesting. Also, you talk about the issue of privacy. Yes, because artificial intelligence are we going to have a digitized world where everything is digital? So therefore, now it's easier for artificial intelligence to put. But maybe we'll have firewall. But maybe they'll create firewalls that block that. But I don't. But yes, Dane. Sorry.
Everything will be linked. Your information will be linked all over. Once you sign up for certain programs or whatever, information is shared between different entities.
That's a good point. And by the way, I actually have I did an article on artificial intelligence. I did 2 articles, and I'll read that for you later on. But most of it, and that's quite interesting. By the way, I did this same poll on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and most of the people chose China and Russia. So that was quite interesting that others chose China and Russia. And by the way, there was a breaking news early this morning, about 1:00 in the morning, from MSN News, saying that China is modernizing their army as they are getting ready, and their fear is that they are getting ready for World War III, getting ready to fight the US. They're modernizing and so on. So I don't know. Some people are thinking we're gonna have a World War III. So some people think it's China and Russia and the kind of masculine posturing in the world. We talk about them wanting to invade Taiwan. China is in Ukraine today. This speaks to the issue of sovereignty and the ability to self-determine, international law, so on and so forth. So this is quite interesting. In fact, since we're on this issue, let me delve into some of the things I shared with. Some wider societal issue that's happening. I'm going to share a video which I came across some time ago by one of my friends. Reposted it. George the Poet. He's a famous poet in London. I think he's from Ghana, but his parents are from Ghana. But anyway, he lives and he's a famous poet. And he read my book, and he said he went to a library and picked up my book, and he said it's one of the best books he's read that deals with post-independent Jamaica. That's powerful. That's great. I appreciate him for that. But I follow him, and he reposted a very important tweet from a video, and I want to share that with you quickly today. Hold on a second. Let me bring it up. Okay, listen to this very important. Am I recording? Am I recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me bring it back up. Are you seeing my screen?
Not anymore.
Oh, sorry about that. No, this is the Foreign Affairs Minister of South Africa. She makes a very important point. And so this is very, and you're gonna love it. Okay. So here we go. Let me go back to this.
Of international rules. It's very comfortable.
Not seeing the screen here, sir.
Sorry.
But they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't. I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them.
Again.
You know, I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. You can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. Very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that have occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us have been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, never enjoyed support, but suddenly today, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, it as a benefit. So our answer, let's revive the international multilateral system to ensure that we observe that post 1948 has arrived.
That was the South African, I believe, the South African Foreign Affairs Minister or something of the sort. But the case is, I must say, it is not peculiar. It is not peculiar and it's not unusual. Not unusual. Those with power, those who are privileged, have always acted like this. You know, it was some years ago, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, who was beyond his years, said that former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Percival James Patterson, PJ Patterson, he said in Parliament once, the law is not a shackle. The law is not a shackle. It is not a shackle for some, but it is a shackle for others. That has always been the case. That has always been the case. And I will talk about this at my Caribbean Thought class later this evening. My Caribbean Thought lectures at the.
Okay, that's it. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, great. Did you guys hear that recording just now? Watch the video.
It was extremely low.
Oh, it was? Oh, sorry, I could have turned it up. What's going on with my mic? It was okay. So you didn't hear it at all? Let's play it again.
Not at all. I was straining my ear.
Oh, wow. I think it's because all right. Okay, let me play it again. because I want you guys to hear what's the point. She's making a very powerful point. Let me play it again. I think I have a copy of it in my videos. So I'll play it again. Listen to what she's saying. Very powerful. Let me see what's going on, why it is so low. Let's share my screen again. Now, if it is low, if it is slow, if it's still low, let me know, okay? Let's do this. Share screen. Oh, here we go. Are you ready?
I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. Very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that have occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us have been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, we never enjoyed support, but suddenly today, see, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, we see it as a benefit. So our argument, let's revise the international multilateral system to ensure that we observe that post 1948 has arrived.
That was the South African, I believe, the South African Foreign Affairs Minister or something of the sort. But whatever the case is, I must say it is not peculiar. It is not peculiar and it's not unusual. Not unusual. Those with power, those who are privileged, have always acted like this. It was some years ago, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, who was beyond his years, said that former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Percival James Patterson, PJ Patterson, he said in Parliament once, the law is not a shackle. The law is not a shackle. It is not a shackle for some, but it is a shackle for others. That has always been the case. That has always been the case.
Okay, we will stop.
And I will talk about this at my Caribbean Thought class later this evening. My Caribbean Thought lectures at the Jamaica Theological Seminary. And of course, we will go into this talking about the issue of nationalism, the issue of self-determination, the issue of...
Okay, there we go. Now you guys heard that, yes? Did you guys hear that? Was that better?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Somebody's okay, good. What are your thoughts on what she said? Now she's talking about the war in the invasion in Ukraine by Russia. And members of the Security Council have veto power because she said wherever sovereignty is affected, say for example, Ukraine, Russia is invading Ukraine and Russia is a member of the Security Council, or whatever the case is, and they have, I think some people, I can't remember, but whatever the case is. But Russia some members of the Security Council have veto power, and because of that, in order to get support to assist Ukraine to prevent the invasion, it's difficult. They can't go to their General Assembly, but the plan was for them to go to the United Nations or the General Assembly to get them involved in the process to apply international law. She said, wherever sovereignty is affected, international law must apply. But that has never been the case. But suddenly it is the case. Now, I wanted to raise a very important point. I'm going to bring that up real quickly because I wrote something to that. I wrote today, I said that this is powerful. This is powerful. Why? Why is it powerful? In 1947 to 1948, you guys know what happened. In 1947 to about 1948, after the 1944 United Nations formation, where colonies were absent. I'm going to say that again. This is powerful from this foreign minister from South Africa. Why? In 1947 to 1948, the United Nations formation, where colonies were absent, third world countries or global, sorry, not third world, global South countries were absent. Israel invaded and occupied Palestine. You know that, right? You guys know that, yes? Israel invaded and occupied Palestine and ultimately became a nation. There was no Israel as a nation before 1948 or 1947, whatever the case may be. One of those years, 47, between 47 and 48. Some people said it's 48. I had said 47. I'll check my stats, but between 1947 and 1948. Palestine, they became a nation. Much to the protestation of Palestine. Much to the protestation of Palestine. Did the US support the Palestinians against the invasion? Did the US support the Palestinians against this invasion? And in terms of, as Jamaicans and Caribbean people, what were our feelings? Of course, I mean, we never had any say because 1947, 1948, we weren't an independent nation. Okay? We were under the control of Britain, and it was partially Britain that and Europe that orchestrated this invasion. Probably, I mean, and I said it was quite interesting that in 1944 they had the United Nations, and by 1947, 48, Europe and the Western countries was creating a state, creating a nation in Israel, in Palestine, sorry. Now fast forward to last year and now. Russia is invading Ukraine. Is the US supporting Russia or Ukraine? Of course, the call is for the US to support and for countries in the world to support Ukraine against another country's sovereignty or their sovereignty and their nationality and their independence and self-determination and so on. Former Prime Minister of Jamaica, P.J. Patterson, said the law is not a shackle. And I said that this was always the case. This was always the case in a competitive world, based in privilege, where some are above the laws and others below it. Some are above the laws and others below it. Who are those above the law? Who are those above the law? And I could ask you that question, but when you look at what happened, what happened then, and what is still happening, what's going on between Israel and Palestine, it has to do with one claim that their sovereignty is being violated, but there is no international support from those people who are formulated to protect nations and their sovereignty. While Russia is invading Ukraine, and there is international support for Ukraine. It's quite, when you study, when you study what's going on in the world, that's why I say to people, you can't just study when you study Caribbean and where we are today, politically and economically and in the world, you have to study the world globally. And you have to put it in context. By the way, I made a point earlier. What was the point? I made a very important point earlier. If I could find that point, where is it? As it relates to male chauvinism, or chauvinisms. I made a point earlier. I said, by the way, there's a poll going based on this particular issue. Man's law and man's chauvinism. But anyways, there's a poll question on international law. Should the US have supported the Palestinians against European invasion, leading to the takeover of parts of the Palestinian state? Of course, some time ago, I talked about and somebody said that in their interaction paper, as it relates to reclaiming and the issue of heritage and reclaiming and restoring what was lost. And Israel saying that they're restoring it was their place anyways, and they were just taking back what was originally theirs. They were just taking back what was originally theirs. We talked about the issue. We talked about that some time ago. But the thing is, though, they live outside of Palestine. Jews weren't living in Palestine at the time. Most of them came from England and Europe. But in the Caribbean, a lot of the Americas, the natives still live here, but they're not seen as natives. They're seen as people from Africa. Anyways, but I wanted to make that point as it relates to the issue of sovereignty and how we put things in perspective as it relates to the issue of international law and this man's law versus man's chauvinism, and how particular and peculiar. We talk about the issue of unfair competition, unfair trade. It's when you start to think about this, when you start to think about the world, and that's why I said and read widely about the posturing in society, it makes you want to think deeply about some of these things. But that's one point I wanted to raise as it relates to some wider societal issues and how our class speak to it, how our thinking and our critical examination speak. One other matter I want to bring to the fore before you, if I could find it, and I'm going to try and find it. There's the Prime Minister of Jamaica spoke earlier today, and I want to bring that up today. I won't read his speech, but I'll share it with you. And one of the I'm kind of bringing it up quickly. My computer is moving weird today. Hold on, I'm waiting for the thing to load. there's another thing. Okay, there we go. And if I could find it and post that up and share that with you. Let's see if I could find it. Where we are. Wow. Okay, where is it? I'm so sorry, guys. Give me a second. I'm trying to find another. There's something I need. Another happening. There we go. I found it. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, fine. I'll look for it here. Wow. I'm trying to find a very important document here. By the way, some time ago, I don't know if you guys saw the post that somebody had recently about that's fine. I said that we were the Europeans obeying Jesus when they created the triangular slave trade, were the Anglo-Saxons following Jesus when they almost wiped out the Arawakans and American Indians, stole their land, and then created laws to protect their theft and genocide. No, we must follow in a particular way that suits you so as to preserve your privileges. So I was responding to somebody recently, but I'm trying to find, there's something the Prime Minister said, and I want to share that because I said to you, some of the things that I want us to do when we come to this class is to look at the wider societal issues of what's going on in the Caribbean and interact with it. Now, the Prime Minister said,
shepherded the people out of Egypt, taking them to the promised land. There was division, distraction, divisiveness. People said, we can't bother with this anymore. Let us build idols, golden calves, shiny things, be distracted with them. Even then, let's take the easy path. Why are we waiting for transformation? Just take the easy path. The Bible also gives us a direction for this. In Titus 3 verse 10, it tells us that we must engage the factious man, admonish him, engage him once and talk to him, engage him twice and talk to him, but the third time, leave him alone. Do not be distracted.
Anyway, I don't know. The Prime Minister, who is a politician, was trying to preach. I'm not sure. Giving a lecture on theology. I'm not sure what. Anyways,
write that, sir. Not him write that. Somebody write it. Maybe an AI write it for you.
No, but actually, by the way, when you have AI, you still need a strong, because AI messes up a lot. Trust me. You have to be really a creator and a writer. If you're not a strong writer, you won't be able to use AI effectively. You have to be a very strong writer, because if you are not a strong writer, then when you produce your thing, we can tell that it is AI, okay? But the Prime Minister of Jamaica said, in our journey towards transformation, let us not be swayed by distractions or the allure of taking the easy path, but instead remain focused on our mission and dismiss those who seek to divide us with their factious nature. What do you guys think about that? The Prime Minister said, in our journey towards transformation, let us not be swayed by distractions or the allure of taking the easy path, but instead remain focused on our mission and dismiss those who seek to divide us with their factious nature. What do you think he's getting at, and how would you respond to that?
First of all, I am unclear, and I think the nation is largely unclear as to what path we are really on. What is our goal? What are we trying to achieve? And
oh my God, thank you, Dane. You hit, now you reminded me of something else I needed to share about what the Prime Minister is saying. So continue. Right. Beautiful. Yes, go ahead.
We are trying to achieve, and what is the plan for getting to get there? If you show us a vision and show us the path that you plan to take us on, then let us look at it and evaluate it and say, okay, we think it's a great idea, we buy into it. We think this is not a great idea, or you can change this or change that. But you're asking us to just follow blindly, trust you and trust your plan that we don't know about. No.
That is, thank you so much. And this is a very important. No, this, yeah, we're talking about Haiti, what's going on with conspiracy, Cuba, embargo, and how the Caribbean has suffered largely because, and you know, when I read your paper and the other, it was quite powerful. And you see now the prime minister is making promises, and we talk about leaders being weak need, and we have to keep up the scrutiny. We said that. You know, I think he was responding to me or to some of us. Of course, I mean, I don't play partisan politics. I'm not JLP or PNP. I'm not Democrat or Republican. No one will hold me down. No one will control me. I am a human being and a human citizen. Okay? And we have a responsibility to hold people accountable. And what prevents us from holding people accountable? When we practice partisan politics. Okay? When we are subjective, which is part of the problem of Caribbean, which has prevented us from positioning us to be able to compete with those who use strategy and stealth to keep us down, so to continue to keep ahead of us. Part of the problem is that Jamaicans and Caribbean people, we leave it up to the government and we're leaving up to our leaders who have failed since 1962. Since 1962, okay? We have a responsibility to keep the scrutiny and to hold them accountable. I said recently to the prime, I posted this recent, and I mean, I'm verified on Twitter. I am verified. Some people will see me. I'm verified. Okay, I have the blue check mark, yes. And I am very, you know, and yes, I did say something to the, and by the way, sometime I support him. One of my best friends in Jamaica, Robert Miller, who is a member of parliament, one of my very good, he was head boy at Bridgeport. I was head boy the year before him. Know him very well. He is a member of parliament, okay? And I used to be, I'm going to tell you, I used to be part of the G2K when I was in Jamaica, and probably my plan was to pursue that part, but I decided not to do, but of course I'm in the US now. But I've moved on from that. I was Labourite. My father was Labourite for a particular reason. But if I were to be in Jamaica, I wouldn't be Labour right now, but I wouldn't be PNP either. In fact, I used to despise Michael Manley. I really do not. I used to despise Ed. I mean, and maybe I could have despised Edward, but I don't really. But what I say about all Jamaican leaders is that they were weak, need, and lack vision. And in a sense, we inherited a kind of politics. And anyways, I don't want to give away too much, because I'm about to share a very important conversation with you, which is, so as you think about some of the discussions we're having this and how you relate it to what's going on in society today. I ask you to write interaction paper. We are interacting with the realities of Caribbean and how we have to protect our futures and our children and grandchildren's futures as Caribbean people. But I want to share something. This is very important. I mean, by the way, this is not the lecture what I put it down as. It's very important that we relate to what's going on in society. The Prime Minister is talking about a very important issue, but we will hold him accountable. But I made a response to him. I said, the Prime Minister said, where is it? Here we go. Oh, no, that one. I'm sorry, guys, but it's coming up. It's coming up. Is this it? No. Coming up. Here we go. You guys must have seen this. I'm on Twitter. Look at the Prime Minister's Twitter page. He says Jamaica's, and he posted this all over. It's in the Gleaner everywhere. Jamaica's economy next week. Next week Monday. Every Monday we're gonna before we get to exam and so on. I want us to raise issues and at least 1 to 2 hours discuss what's going on in society, and base it on the discussions in our class. The Prime Minister of Jamaica said Jamaica's economy is in the best shape ever. By the way, is that true? Anyways, now we are focused on ensuring that every Jamaican feels it. He said, the Prime Minister of Jamaica And Jamaica is one of the most powerful Caribbean islands, just so you know. Jamaica's economy is in the best shape. And maybe well, people will say, oh, that's a biased statement because I'm Jamaican. But when I say that, I'm talking about in terms of our influence. I live in the US, I travel the world, I live outside of the Jamaica. I've traveled the Caribbean and when you talk to people, when they think Barbados is one of the cities in Jamaica. Some people, a lot of people. Yeah, it's as if all of Caribbean is Jamaica. The influence. Jamaica have a lot of influence, okay? They even think that Rihanna is from Barbados and that Barbados is in Jamaica, okay, or part of Jamaica. But anyways, Jamaica's economy is in the best shape ever. Now we are focused on ensuring every Jamaican feels it. Is that true? Jamaica's economy is in the best shape ever. Now we are focused on ensuring that every Jamaican feels. Is that true?
Yeah, feel it, yes, but we're never the best shape we have.
Well,
Yeah.
he said that he's going to ensure. Oh my God, you're crazy. I like that statement. That was cool. I love that plug that you just dropped in. No, Irish, we're gonna take a break after this because that was so funny. No, this is my response to the Prime Minister. I responded to him directly. And I used to be one of the national managers for the Jamaica Values and Attitudes Project. And just before I left Jamaica, I was working with the United Nations to write the project myself with Neril Thompson, who was the senior manager, and we worked together. She lives in Canada now. But I said to the Prime Minister, I said, no, that is better said than done. It's easier to say that. Jamaicans have been hearing that we are in great shape for a while now. Where is the reality and the improvement in their daily lives? I said in 1957 to 1974, the windfall profits, you notice we talk about in 1957, talk about bauxite. The windfall profits from bauxite were squandered and spent on knee-jerk reactionary policies that failed us. Excuse me. What strategy will you employ to create the effect without diminishing development potentials? Because remember we talk about the difference between economic growth and economic development. You develop to get growth, okay? But then by the 1970s when the oil crisis hit us, we never had no money saved up or left, as if we weren't spending on things that create development towards growth. We have to now we would not have needed to go to the global north, our former masters to get money. We never had to do that if we were smart with how we spent the money or how we moved on. But okay. Because feeling is fleeting. Feeling is fleeting. If Jamaicans are better off, there is no work needed to create a feeling. No work. You shouldn't have to work to create that feeling. No work is needed. If Jamaicans are better off, no work is needed to create a feeling, because that can mean creating a facade. You know what the facade is, yes? Make believe. Like you ever watch those Western movies and the cowboy walking through the town? Those towns are really fake structures. There's nothing behind them. Okay, that's a facade. When there is economic development, when there's economic growth, when the economy is growing, it will ultimately lead to certain prospects in the economy. Okay, so it is important, because one Jamaican said that is so true. According to this particular person, so we're building back stronger. There's record amount of tourist arrival. The economy is growing, country on the right path, but most people can't see it. I'm wondering where it is, Mr. PM, how poor people can't see it all now. Somebody responded to my text, to my tweet to the Prime Minister saying, that is so true. You know, I heard we're building back stronger, the record amount of tourism arrival. But then I said to you, I make a point in neoliberalism globalization that the difference between net national income and gross national income or gross domestic product. When you sell off all of your beaches to foreigners, right? Most of your tourists and most of your things are owned by the few over the many. So yes, so people are feeling it, but who is feeling it? The elites in Jamaica? And those multinationals and transnationals that they sold off a lot of the places to? Or the privatizations that come from overseas people instead of the locals? So, or is he going to nationalize some industries or not create or nationalize? Because then when you start talking about nationalizing things, all of a sudden people start think about socialism, and some people don't like the word socialism. So those are some of the questions that you will ask, but then there are those who believe that we should not ask these questions. It is dividedness. It creates factions, which probably is that what the Prime Minister is alluding to? It creates factions and dividedness. Because the next day he said, in our journey towards transformation, let us not be swayed by distractions or the allure of taking the easy path, but instead remain focused on our mission and dismiss those who seek to divide us with their factious nature. So I responded by saying, do not expect that you are not supposed to be criticized, and do not call it factions. It should be welcomed. Part of leadership requires that we hold you accountable, and we must learn from history. We must learn from history. In fact, it is quite hypocritical. It is quite hypocritical to talk about factions within a political system, that's already highly divided, which is characteristic of politics, within the Jamaican political and Caribbean political system, and systems that adopt what kind of economics? Capitalist economics. An economic system that is not necessarily fair. An economic system that is not necessarily fair. I support your endeavors to push Jamaica forward, and by extension, the Caribbean. But there are ways to do so. And everyone will not agree, and some will use tribal politics, which had defined Jamaican system starting in the 1980s. This is you. I'm responding to the Prime Minister. This is Caribbean thought. This is you. This is interacting. This is in an interaction paper. You notice how I responded to the Prime Minister, starting from the day before, talking about, and I said to you, this is important because I want you guys to start getting involved. In one of the ways you create change is also create critical thinking. Critical thinking is important. This is this is what Caribbean thought is, redefining and you guys are as academics. Hold your people accountable, hold your leaders accountable, know what's going on in the world, scrutinize them and push back. So notice I said here, but there are ways to do so, and everyone will not agree. And some will use tribal politics, which had defined Jamaican system starting in the 1980s. Listen to supporters, Mr. Prime Minister, and detractors alike. Listen to supporters and detractors alike, as they are all Jamaicans. They are all Jamaicans and include a reply that unite and is sensitive to all of our people, to all of our peoples, PNP and JLP, as we move to outcompete those who had always used franchise politics to hold Caribbean down. You notice how this is listen to this again. I'm talking. This is an interaction paper. I ask you to write interaction papers, but listen to how within the Caribbean context, within Caribbean political thought. Listen to it here. I said to the Prime Minister as a warning and as a caution and as a suggestion. I said, listen to supporters. Notice solution. And Keisha at the end of her paper had a solution, which is why I really loved it. I really loved how she included towards the end of her paper the solutions. And but I said in the article, I said, listen to supporters and detractors alike, as they are all Jamaicans. And include a reply when you reply that unite and is sensitive to all of our peoples, both PNP and JLP people, as we move to outcompete. Now listen to this part. Listen to how look how I raise it to the next level. You see this? As we do what? Look how we bring it together now where all of us are one. Because probably he might listen, as we move to outcompete those who had always used franchise politics to hold Caribbean down. Of course, Dane, when you read Dane and Keisha and who else, and Ramein's paper talk, and some of you might as well talk about that in your Haiti papers as well. Hold Caribbean down through structural adjustment, through debt, through foreign penetration. When you read what happened with Maurice Bishop and in Grenada, with the CIA interference and so on. And it's not only CIA was the capitalist, but also people from the Soviets were also interfering. Okay, using franchise and that kind of divided this to hold us down. Franchise politics, and so that is important as a people. That that we hold our people accountable. And we think about our political system and how our political system and the political tribalism has also affected peoples of the Caribbean. This divide and the kind of political system that we have inherited. And that will move me into the final aspect of our lecture, because notice I said just now, I said, in fact, it is quite hypocritical to talk about factions within a political system that's already highly divided, which is characteristic of politics within the Jamaican political system and systems that adopt capitalist economics that is not necessarily fair. Okay? So, then I go on to say, I support your endeavors to push to make, but there are ways to do so, and everyone will not agree. And some will use what? Tribal politics. That's a word that's familiar with people in Jamaica, which had defined Jamaican political system since the 1980s. So, but in order to rescue Jamaica, the new people of the new nations, if we are looking for solutions to overcome those who are through various means trying to outcompete, we cannot practice the same kind of things that they are practicing. We can inherit that same kind of thing, much to our chagrin. It is a kind of unity and a kind of solidarity, because we promote nationalism, but look, and then all of a sudden we get independence and now we promote partyism or political tribalism. So we talk about what has dogged the Caribbean. In the 1950s, we're talking about the Federation, but the nationalists put that off and talk about more independence because of maybe selfishness, maybe they were just because of this pride, this national pride. Nothing is wrong with national pride, but then you notice as we move to in 1944, there was a plan to reorder the world in the interest of the westernized man and woman. Okay? By 1947, 1948, Israel became a nation in Palestine. By 1960, in the 1960s, you find to 1970s, independence movement and many former colonies are becoming independent. But we talk about a solidarity, a unity that should have defined Caribbean, a kind of way forward. But that would not have served the interest of the former colonial masters if we were all united as one, because we would have been able to put up more of a united front. It was always to divide us. We talk about divide and conquer. United we stand, divided we fall. So we got it. We divided ourselves in smaller states, and then we inherited a political system that involved tribal politics, or a system of the kind of politics we have that these countries we have. So, which further divide us. That is strategy, and that is quite interesting. Division upon division to mitigate any lucrative response to lack, or lucrative response to those who were already had an economic advantage. The kind, as new nations, the kind of political system, the kind of way for, the way forward can't be the same. It's not necessarily adopting the kind of system that those who were giving us independence wanted to adopt. They wanted us to get that kind of ceremonial independence, or so on and so forth, and then created that dividedness. But a stronger Caribbean union, a stronger Caribbean political system would probably help us to realize a stronger defense. So this JLP and PNP has only served to mitigate, to dilute any lucrative response or strong front, and the nation within the nation. This West Indian solidarity. But now we're hearing that we formulated a Caribbean Union and so on and so forth. So this is good. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to pick up. I have a presentation because I'm here talking about neoliberalism. I need to talk about neoliberalism, define what it is, define capitalism. But I also have to finish I also had promised, Romain is not here. I'm not sure why he never texted. I want to talk about continue where we left off from last week, looking at some diverse currents, important figures. Walter Rodney and Frantz Fanon. Those are the only, if we do get a chance to talk about them today, we'll talk about them quick. I'll share a presentation on Walter Rodney, the Guyanese, and of course Frantz Fanon. But Frantz Fanon was before Walter Rodney. So I will come. We will probably just quickly summarize Frantz Fanon, and then I'll leave it up to you to do some reading around him, and of course to read his book. I talk about Fanonism in neoliberalism, or his book Wretched of the Earth. You can talk about, or his book Black Skins, White Mask. But I will quickly introduce him to you today, and some very important points. I said Homi Bhabha can help us to understand him, but I will need at least 15 minutes to talk about him quickly, and then we move on, the Martinican, and then we move on to Walter Rodney. And then when we are done with that, then I want to discuss I wanted Dane, but tell you what, I don't think I have time for some persons made some of you. I graded your paper and asked you some powerful questions in terms of how the paper is to be done. that probably might be good if I don't think we have time for that today. So, because I need to look at, actually, when we're going to take a break, when we come back at 9:10, at 9:05, 9:10, I'll give you 10 minutes break. When you come back, what I want to do is, I probably should go over, because to be honest, Romaine is not here. Keisha is not here. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there are 10 of us here. 10 of us here. There are about 3 students that's missing from the class. And I have a lecture on Walter Rodney and Frantz Fanon that I want to share, but they are not. So, and I want everybody to be here when I talk about Frantz Fanon and Walter Rodney. If we have time to present, we will present. But if we don't, that's fine. We also want to talk about neoliberalism. I want to present on neoliberalism, what that is, define the concept of neoliberalism for you, and so on. Capitalism, socialism, and so on. But all the students aren't here, but I'll tell you. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I think I'm going to revisit the papers that I marked and just quickly lift up some very important points. And if we have time to go to finish up with Frantz Fanon and start Walter Rodney, we may get into that. And then on the Wednesday, the plan was to begin talking about neoliberalism and then move into watching the film on corruption by Dr. Trevor Monroe. Okay, that's what we're going to do Wednesday. So Wednesday, we're going to talk about neoliberalism and then move into the film looking at corruption by Trevor Monroe and the National Integrity Agency, looking at the corruption index. And I made a very important point in the last class. When you look at former colonized countries, our corruption index is high. We have the highest amount of corruption. Why? We will discuss that at the next. We will discuss that on Wednesday if we have time. But we will definitely show the film on corruption. We will do that, and if I have time to discuss neoliberalism, towards the last half of this class, we will try to wrap up looking at Frantz Fanon, and if we have time, we touch on Walter Rodney. But when we take a break, when we come back, I will lift up some very important points from Dane's paper. Where is that? I'll lift up some very important points from some papers I marked today, from Romaine. Well, he's not here, so I won't get into it. So I won't delve into that. But Dane paper, he made an important point. And I'm not trying to single you out or anything. By the way, he did well. He got high mark. He got around the A or A minus or something. So he's okay. I just want to highlight something which is important to you guys. Okay. So I'm not singling him out. So it's a good thing. And I like that you brought it I love how you brought it to my attention. I just want to show you how I read and interact with your material, so that when you read something and interact with it, how you ask of the material certain questions. So I'm going to go into that quickly. And then Keisha is not here, but to be honest, I have to raise something with Keisha paper. I love how she presented solutions. And of course, you know what? I finished Mark Judine's paper, but I don't know if I'd given her a grade. Because we went right into the class, but Judine answered a question. I think she answered one of Keisha's question? So we'll get into that, but we'll take a break now. And we'll come back at 9. I want to give you 10 minutes break, 9:15. All right?
Sir, please check your messages, your WhatsApp. I sent you a message via WhatsApp.
All right.
During the break.
I'm just, yes. And just so you know, I'm very good at picking up things. Okay, but sometimes I just try to skirt over it. Okay, I'm telling you that. I don't miss anything, but I know what you're saying. I agree with you. All right. but we'll talk about that. But I agree with you, Dane. Yes.
Okay.
We'll be right back. But that's between me and you. Okay. All right, guys, we'll take a break. And we are back. We are back. Oh, I should have stopped the recording. Big lull. We're in the final stretch of class. So, and I'm about to share with you. Yes, I said in this final hour of class, what we want to do is we want to look at some papers that you guys that some persons presented. Not to single you out or call you out. That's not my intention. I believe in constructive criticism or interacting with just sharing some very insightful things. I appreciate you guys doing sending the papers. Now I wanted to okay, Romain is not here, so that but let me see who is, and by tonight I will mark all the papers. You'll be getting emails. So I don't know if they started it, but today it's been a very busy weekend, extremely busy. We are launching the neoliberal corporation. It's a lot that's going on. I have a lot of work. Tomorrow I meet with the president I'm having a meeting with the JTS president tomorrow, Dr. Evan Thompson or whatever his name is. Stephen Evan. But I'm meeting with the president tomorrow. There's a lot that's happening. So I've been under a lot of pressure, but some major things are coming, but we keep working. But I wanted to, let me see if I could find that email. Here we go. Let's go to sent. Oops. Did I grade Judine's paper? Yes. All right, good. I won't tell them. Okay, whatever. Let's start. So Romain's paper was quite interesting. Romain's paper was quite powerful. Maybe I shouldn't say who wrote it, but listen to how we started this. But when we speak about heritage and identity as Jamaican, some of the first things which may come to our mind is the African diaspora shaped by the transatlantic trade, which brought millions of Africans to the so-called New World, where they encountered forms of oppression and resistance. In this review, we will delve into the shared experience, and this is how you begin. I love how we began the paper here. He said, we will, in this review, we will delve into the shared experiences, cultural bonds, and enjoying solidarity between African and American communities in the Caribbean. But of course, but then he goes on to say, as I try to collect valuable and meaningful information on my family tree running as to 5 and 6 generations, limited information on my heritage and identity was found. And I noticed that. It is something I have noticed, even with, and as I read your work, a lot of persons cannot go far back as they trace their family heritage in Jamaica and the Caribbean. For some reason, at some point, it starts to blur. For some period, there's some disappearance. We're not sure what happened. The same thing can be said of my family. I mean, I can go back to my great-grandfather, but then when it starts to, after that, it's kind of, I don't know what is happening. It's kind of weird. It's just, all we have is what the Europeans say, and that's what they bring. It's just, but as I read this paper, he said, as he tries to collect valuable and meaningful information on my family tree, 1 into 5 and 6 generations, limited information on my heritage and identity was found. He said limited. And that seemed to be the case when you start to limited, but the information is there, by the way, when you start to look at the archives and do certain archival studies. But but it was quite interesting. He said that as I tried to collect valuable and meaningful information on my family tree, 1 into 5 and 6 generations, limited information on my heritage was found. In the research I conducted, I realized that my great-grandfather is a descendant of the Maroons. I was told they got dark and beautiful. They got dark and beautiful. That's interesting. He said they got dark and beautiful skin and hair color. Here looking Indians, sorry, beautiful skin and hair looking Indians, but with darker skin color. However, this contrasts with what we have thought, with what we have thought over the years by historians and teachers, and that's was a little bit anachronistic, but anyway, this was quite interesting. And then he presented another paper. What I had said to him, but he did not. And by the way, I indicate one of the issues with his paper was he got a good grade, but when you interact, I said one important thing when doing interaction papers or reflecting on content. Listen to this very important point I'm making. I said it was refreshing to read your introduction. It was perfect. His introduction was perfect. But I said, however, one important thing when doing interaction papers or reflecting on content within an academic setting is this: it is good to highlight or lift up quotes and state points from the article.
Sir.
Yeah.
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
I get the feeling that the paper you are reading for Romain is the first paper that you gave us to trace our.
Yes.
I thought the paper you were going to share with us is a response to the Brian Concanon lecture.
Well, he also presented that too, but the same response for both of them, where what I was looking, I indicated that it is good to highlight or to lift up quotes and state points from the article, supported by.
But I'm thinking that if he's writing about his ancestry, there'll be nothing for him to pick up any quotes or anything like that. It was responding to a lecture.
Right. But he made some assertions there without providing any without supporting his paper. It's always good to provide some kind of source. Say, for example, somebody else wrote the same paper and quoted the Gleaner. Okay, so in a sense, it's all when you write interaction paper, even if it is ethnographic and it's personal, you also want to just provide some kind of support. And the second thing is you want to lift up what one or two persons have said in the paper. Say, for example, the one on Haiti, comments have been made. Yes.
Excuse me, please, before you go further, I just want to find out how many submissions are there where assignments are concerned, please?
Just 3, 2 personal, 1 group work.
I mean, how many have been submitted already? Just 2 from the class, because I'm just wondering if I'm missing something here. 1
on Haiti with Brian, 1 on the Heritage UIHS, and of course, I asked you the one with on life and death as a group work. But as I said to you, say for example, if you're going to talk about, let's say you want to talk about Brian Concanon, well, there was no bibliography in either, or no reference being made to anything. It was just written and submitted without no reference point, nothing. It is always good to include a reference or some support, even if you're interacting with other content. You want to go outside. You want to also extend it. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. I'm gonna pull up another paper, but what I said to him, and by the way, it was you have to be careful that it's not repetitive, but it was a good paper. But let's look at Dane. Now, I said Dane was quite interesting. I found this paper quite interesting. I said to him, thanks for including a reference and providing a bibliography at the end. Okay. I said, thanks for including a reference and providing, his paper was quite interesting, by the way. Let me see what paper, by the way, the response I gave to Romain was he submitted both one time. Okay, and both paper did not have no source, and even say for example, you could say it was quite interesting that John Brian Concanon had said XYZ, in my estimation, it's good to just, for example, include a quote, include the statement that is being made, and probably reference it with some other things that you have read about the subject matter, what we're discussing. But anyways, Dane, I found your paper. I said, thanks for including a reference. Although you are interacting with the class presentation with Mr. Concan, and you still provided a reference which supported your interaction. Your use of it was great. Okay. I said, I loved how you showed the connection between freedom and oppression. Maybe I should share. Maybe you should, you know what? You want to share it with the class?
Share what? The paper?
Yes.
Okay, if you want me to, if the class wants me to.
Yes, I want you to share it, because you make some points I want to lift up. And I said, I loved how you showed the connection between freedom and oppression. It was quite novel how you did that. That was good. And I said, the second point was Western rule equals wealth. Now, you quoted somebody that, you quoted a person that says, under French rule, Haiti prospered. But then I noticed something. While non-Western rule and control, they were impoverished or poverty. In a sense, the contrast was quite interesting. Under Western rule, that equals wealth. Under non-Western rule and control, it equals poverty. And then I asked you a question. Was that the lesson to be learned, or the logic enforced by the oppressive policies or powerful countries, that within Western rule, then they'll do well? Because you made the point that Haiti prospered under French rule, and you quoted somebody. You didn't quote us in the class. You went as far as to get external information, and that was good to support your interaction. That was novel. But then I asked the question, and based on your line of argument, you made the point that under French rule they did well, but then under non-Western rule and control, Haiti's poor. So the point to the question is, was that the lesson to be learned, or the logic enforced by the oppressive policies of powerful countries? Because you made reference to policies, the oppressive policies. Was that the lesson to be learned, that under Western influence and so on, then it equals wealth? But once that is removed, then that's poverty. Is that the kind of what they call truth, in a sense, a truth in life within a capitalist westernized world, where without and within and without? Okay, so I asked the question: was that the lesson to be learned, or the logic that they were trying to enforce by the oppressive policies of powerful nations? And I'm going to ask you to, probably want you to read your paper, and then I ask another question, and I won't I won't say it until we hear your paper. So share your paper with us, because question 3, I asked a very important question. Go ahead. Could you share it with us?
I'm doing that now.
All right, you have the floor.
All right, so I'm sharing the paper online as well, as a visual, so that those who wish to follow. Thank you so much. So I said, one thing that is clear to me is that slavery and oppression ended in one sense, but continued in another. Haiti, having received freedom, quote unquote, from French rule, became financial slaves. Despite the brutality of its enslavement, Haiti had to repay France for losing income. It is like a wicked step-parent who savagely mistreated a stepchild, but demanded that every red cent that was spent on the child be repaid to the parent once that child becomes an adult. Additionally, the child is expected to pay the parent for the loss of income the parent will suffer for having to hire someone to do the work the stepchild did. This move has only kept Haiti in poverty and a state of dependency. It is quite in keeping with Jesus' statement, for to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away, although in a different context. It is amazing, disturbing even, to say the least, of how the US joined with France, one of its closest allies, to block the intentions of the Haitian government to seek restitution for all the years of having to repay France. Powerful nations often join forces and resources in order to keep the poorer countries poor and the weaker nations weak. I was amazed at the statement that France, the US, and Great Britain have less than 6% of the world's population, but hold 60% of the voting rights at the United Nations Security Council. I see it as a dangerous imbalance and a clear doorway for exploitation and cronyism among these powerful states. Ironically, US does not want its people to be part of the peacekeeping force in Haiti, yet want other countries, particularly Caribbean nations, to join that force. It brought back fresh and recent memories of Jamaica's own Prime Minister pushing for Jamaica to send members of our security forces to Haiti. This was met with much resistance and backlash, at least at the grassroots level. People were most indignant that Jamaica already has a crime issue that we are not managing, yet we want to send our forces to manage another's state of affairs. Persons were also concerned about losing their loved ones as they heard and saw the atrocities being committed in Haiti. On the one hand, one could say that we are not being our brother's keepers by not lending support to Haiti. On the other hand, one can appreciate the old Jamaican adage, learn to dance a yard before you dance abroad. How do we help to fix in another's country a problem that we ourselves cannot fix here? How do we tame a monster elsewhere when we have not been able to tame ours? When the security forces go off to another place to keep the peace, will it not put extra strain on our remaining security personnel and increase the level of crime here? And I cannot help but to wonder why our PM was so quick and ready to send our forces on this mission. What deal was made with the US and possibly other allies that would prompt him to make such a decision or even consider it? According to Hillman and D'Agostino, 2009, quote, under French rule, Haiti became one of the most valuable colonial possessions of the world. Nearly 2 centuries after acquiring independence, it is now widely regarded as the most impoverished country in the Western Hemisphere, end quote. Haiti paid a price for freedom, a price they are still paying today. I can only imagine that there may be people within and outside of Haiti that think they should have remained under France. This is a common long-standing debate in Jamaica. And the question is, were we better off under the British, and should we have remained under the British? I believe every nation deserves the right to self-governance. I do not think it is the independence that caused Haiti. So I think this is where you might be misunderstanding me. I do not think it is the independence that caused Haiti or Jamaica to be in the situation that they are in. I believe it is the oppressive policies and treatment by powerful nations with respect to their former colonies who wanted their freedom that have brought them to the place where they are. It is a diabolic injustice and needs to be addressed and called what it is. These nations need to be held responsible for their actions, but by whom? The UN? I hardly think so. The United Nations, quote unquote, means that some nations are united for an issue and others are united against. We can only hope that the efforts of those who are fighting for Haiti's liberation, restitution, and rebuilding will not be in vain. We can only hope that the superpowers of the world will relent and from genuine hearts restore what was taken and what was lost to Haiti. And we can only hope that the leaders who emerge thereafter will not be easily bought by the superpowers, lest Haiti finds herself in similar, if not worse, predicament as it is currently in.
Go back to the top a little bit where you said something about under the British. You said that, there we go, right there. You said, I can only imagine that there may be people within and outside of Haiti that think they should have remained under France. And I know, say, for example, Jamaica is now having a debate as to whether or not we should get rid of the monarchy altogether. And there are those who are for, there are those who are for, there are those who believe that Jamaica is going to be worse off. Okay. But you allude to that. You allude to the whole fact that the strategy of privilege, of continue to promote a kind of image in the world that says we need the westernized, we need the colonial master, we need, we can't govern ourselves. And so policies are created internationally and so on to ensure that we ourselves cannot trust ourselves, because you said, well, maybe we're better off under the French. But then, I take issue with Hilburn, because Hilburn, I don't know, who is Hilburn? Where is she from? Because Hilburn makes a statement that says, under French, they were wealthy. But when they landed on Saint-Domingue, it was already lush with land and beauty. So this historian is writing and in a heavy-handed way, and make the point, under French, Haiti was great. But so in a sense, I believe that particular
is he saying it was great? Or notice the choice of words here. Where he says, let me go back to it. Okay, Haiti became one of the most valuable colonial possessions. Most valuable colonial
of the world. It became, the most valuable, yes.
Colonial possessions. So in other words, the colonial master take it as, just as you would have said, they would have come and saw wealth and claim it for their own and put policies and laws into place to secure their own thievery.
Yes.
So it became a colonial possession to them.
Yes.
But in essence, when they left, they took the wealth with them and caused Haiti to become poor. So my point is that it is not independence, so to speak, that has made Jamaica or Haiti impoverished in any context. It is the policies that the former colonial masters would have imposed upon them that caused them to become impoverished. And if the leaders, if we get to that place of restitution and restoration of the wealth, it is the leaders who emerge thereafter, their responsibility to manage it and not be pressured by outside ruling, so that the country may become wealthy and remain wealthy. But once you allow the policies of the outsiders to dictate to you, then the wealth is going to eventually go back to them.
Very good. By the way, I'm going to revise your grade. I'm going to give you an A. I don't know why I said A minus, but I'm going to give you an A. The paper was well done, well written. You written within the culture of Jamaica. I love the language. I love the examples. It was well done. You will get an A for that paper. Just so you know, I said to you in question 3, it seems paradoxical. And
right. I realized that you seem to misunderstand what I was saying.
Yes, to state that freedom pays a price. Then you went on to say that you do not agree that independence led to the price, but then argue that powerful nations' oppressive policies led to poverty due to independence. And I said that you may need to clarify here. But then you just clarified just now. Okay. So I had said that it seems paradoxical and ambiguous, just a little bit. It seems, notice I said seems. I never said that it is. Okay. Never it is, it will only be seemed, because, and I am a subjective person. So I will and then I will leave it up to you to clarify. So I said, it seems paradoxical that to state that, well, you say freedom pays a price. So yeah, you pay a price for your freedom. but then went on to say that it wasn't independent, you do not agree that independence led to the price, but then you argue that powerful nations support oppressive policies led to poverty
Right.
due to the independence.
Right.
Okay, same thing as freedom. You know what I mean? So I wasn't sure, but I think I clearly understand where you're going at the point you're making, and so that was good. I'm going to revise your grade and give you the paper was very well done. I appreciate it. This paper should be published. Okay, I'm going to keep it on hand and to discuss this paper with you later on in terms of including it somewhere. But you want to keep that paper and protect it and for publication. Okay, in fact, you should publish it in the Jacobin magazine. Send a copy. How many pages? It's 3 pages.
Yeah, about that. Yes.
It's a long paper. But actually, I don't know if you should send a copy to the Gleaner. Right, letters@gleaner.com. That's the let me see. And if you guys submit paper and publish it, you'll get an extra mark. Let me see if I remember it was letters@gleanerjm.com. Send it to letters@gleanerjm.com. Okay, I think it was very well done. There's also another place called submittable.com. You guys should create an account at submittable.com where it gives you access to every magazine in the world where you can just submit stuff and get it published. Submittable.com, submittable, SUBMITTABLE, submittable.com. Okay, but I want to include it in the later on as we think about developing a Caribbean thought journal, and as we think about and also there is the Neoliberal Journal on my website, and also the Neoliberal Post. I could include that, but let's see if the Gleaner publishes it first, and there are other places where you could publish. But I like it. Very well done. Very well done. So now that's an interaction paper. But you notice how I interacted with the question that I asked. I have some key takeaways. I loved how you showed the connection between freedom and oppression. That was very good. And this price, you make a very important point. Jamaica, you even bring it back to Jamaica. You notice how this is Caribbean studies. You talk about Jamaica under the British as against Jamaica not under the British, and the feelings towards that, and how we are, and in terms, maybe that's due to colonization, and of course oppressive policies that forces the point. You ever talk about forcing a mango, or picking a green mango to try to make, you're forcing a point, forcing a logic. You can force the logic by creating the conditions. Say, for example, the US took out an embargo on Cuba to make them fail, to make it look like communism or socialism or social democratism cannot guarantee any economic prosperity and freedom, only capitalism. And so they go as far as to create oppressive policies, such as creating embargoes to force the point that a particular narrative is the best, a particular logic is the best. Notice this very important point I'm making here. So you, in a sense, you make that point. The same thing, say, for example, with Venezuela. Venezuela is a communist country, and there are powerful countries and then of course Venezuela could have been one of the most powerful countries in the region with their oil and so on and so forth. And so, but in a sense, powerful countries put embargoes and make international. You talk about cronyism and how countries connect and collaborate, work together, like Haiti and so on. Haiti and France and the US work together, or how they force a point, force a narrative by you through policy. Or they say, okay, nothing black no good, or blacks can't manage their country. The black doesn't have anything successful. And then, of course, when Haiti became independent, they created the conditions to ensure that Haiti struggled. Right. Force the point. You understand? Yes. So, and in a sense, you gave that was good, man. I love it. That you, in a sense, you're alluding to that point, and that was beautiful. And then and you brought it home to Jamaica under the British, and then and in a sense how our education and how we are, the kind of education we are exposed to, and you talk about the decisions that many Jamaicans are afraid or nervous and don't want to get with because of the narrative that we have. Oh, if we move on the British, then we won't get this and we won't get that, and we're gonna have we won't be prosperous. And but of course, based on what's happening in the world and how our education, how we are exposed. So this is quite powerful. And we talk about Haiti under the French as well. And you notice the narrative throughout former it's not just a Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba. It's when you look at former colonized countries, this is the narrative and how policies in the world. It was a very good paper. I will revise your grade. And Chantel is not here, but remind me to CC this when I CC her, because she helped me to put the grades into the spreadsheet. I'm upgrading your paper, your grade to an A. It was very well done. And
Sir.
Yes.
Not meaning to interrupt you here, but I just want to say to Dean, it was a very enlightening paper. I think it was very, very good. You know, my husband is listening to it as well. And he was like saying, I him write that? It sounds like it come out of one book, you know? So you know something, sir, I'm here like saying.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, darling. I'm just saying, sir, since this is a small class and we're also, you know, so engaged in this, and so why you just don't turn the work into one big group work and give everybody an A? We're so excited for it.
Listen,
I second that notion. I second that.
Yes, I mean, with permission, sir.
I am very impressed. He followed the template to a T. He interacted with the subject. You could tell he's locked into the class. Very good. I love that. And I'm telling you, you should submit it to the Gleaner. They will submit your paper to the Gleaner. Letters at Gleaner.
Yes, it's immaculate writing.
I will
really good writing.
Send it to letters to Jake. I'll send you the email, letters to Jacobin. Let me see if I could find it. I'm sharing my resources with you guys. Letters, no, that one. Oops, that's the wrong one. Let's go to my other email thing. All right, here we go. Compose. Let's go to this. Oops. Letter at jacobin.com. All right, I'm going to share with you a link where you can send your work. All right, let's go to chat. I'll just send it to everybody. You guys have this, letters at gleanerjm.com. Letters. And then there is letters at Jacobin. Jacobin is in the US. Okay, letters. It's a US, but that's fine. We'll get to they put it. Oh, by the way, this is one of the Jacobin magazine. Okay, they have, and they do a lot of Caribbean stuff too. See, Walter Rodney published a letter in here. I have submitted several letters as well, and which will be published, so it's good. And then there's another one I'm going to send you where you can submit to. I will publish it in my journals in the Neoliberal Corporation as well, but not yet. I want to see if Gleaner is going to publish it first, and so on. And you should start working on your next. We're working on a book now. Please remember, part of this class is we're doing a project towards developing a Caribbean thought academic journal. And I meet with the president at JTS tomorrow, because I told him that at the university or the theological institution from the 1960s, Jamaica, we need a printing press. We need a printing press. JTS need to have a printing press where we publish students' work, and that's one of the ways the JTS can make money. We need a printing press. JTS does not have one. We need one. Now, I'm a publisher. My company is a publisher. I publish. So I said I meet with him tomorrow. And of course, I said I've been busy working. Part of the plan that we're doing is we plan to set up a publishing house and bookstore and so on in Jamaica, where I'm working at. It's taken up a lot of my time. I've been very busy. I've been very busy. Okay. But it was good. It was good. Thank you, Dane. So that was good. And then you notice the question I ask you. That's a good question. And you interact. That is interacting with stuff. That's how you do interaction. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's go to, so I'm going to remind me to revise your grade and give you an A for that. I've given you an A minus. I don't know why. Or was it because, was it double spaced? I don't remember. Somebody submitted a paper that wasn't double spaced. When you submit academic paper, it was not, it's supposed to be double spaced, not single spaced. Okay, guys? And then Keisha, but Keisha is not here, so I don't even know if I should read Keisha's paper. I would like her to be here, but she presented us with some solutions. And I don't know if she should do the surgery. I don't know if she's probably going to need time to recover. She won't be here until maybe next week, Monday. But I would love to share her paper with you guys. But Judine is here, and I would ask her to share her. Let me go back to here, close this out, go back to sent, and then, okay, here we go. Keisha. What did I say about Keisha? I said, Keisha, thank you for the paper. I appreciate how you were able to interact with the content and even provide some actual points and statements from the sources you were interacting with. You also went outside of the material to provide sources that pertains to the content you were writing about. This was indeed spot on. I must point out that you notice how the Gleaner source repeats what they were told, or what they were told of limited history. They were repeating the same history that we are told. The Taino people were wiped out. But anything you read is like the info they provided from the source she gave me about a genocide came from where? Where did it come from? The same historians who want us to believe that the Tainos were wiped out. But she provided, was it her paper I was reading or somebody else? But I believe that I was reading one of her papers, and I love this. She provided some solutions. Oh yes, it says she said she questioned whether some of the solutions: get rid of gangs and have an election. But that is easily said than done, and she talked about how that can be done. That's quite interesting. But I won't even read her paper. I'll have her read it. But then Jadine is, let me see, Chantel. Let me see if I could find that. Dane, Chantel, sent. I didn't do Jadine. Okay, Jadine. How are you, Jadine? I'm reading your paper. Now, I think I found I said the paper was written as a report with some interaction. But so you noticed how Dane interacted with the subject matter, something of that sort we're looking at for interaction paper. Okay. But you made some powerful points worth lifting up. But let me see if I could find the paper, the powerful point that you lifted up. Let me see if I could find it here. Reviewing the articles and the presentation, blah, blah, blah. We learned about the field. And there's something I noted. You said they were, it wasn't, unless it wasn't this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. Give me a minute here, reviewing the article. The enslaved, blah, blah, blah. Other Caribbean countries must realize they will suffer the same fate as Haiti if they revolt, because global power dominates our education. Most Caribbean people must know the correct history. Caribbean leaders must abandon their wrong mindset. The debate has made us see that because the world powers realize they have to come, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I'm trying to, unless I was reading somebody else's paper, but somebody was saying that it's going to be difficult to bring about change, unless I was reading somebody else's paper. You said most Caribbean islands lack solidarity. No, share your paper with us, because I found maybe I might get a different insight. Because when Dane read it, I got a different insight. Jadine, welcome. Let me hear your paper. Share it with us, because you have some powerful points, and we will end with your presentation. Are you here? Anyways, you said that half the work of writing history is hiding the truth. That was powerful. It would have been great if you said this was appropriate for the history of Haiti. When you start papers, it's always good not to start with a quote. Okay, that's one thing I learned about writing. When especially an original work that you're presenting or interacting, you don't start with a quote. You actually start with your own words, and then you can incorporate it beautifully. A quote beautifully. So you could say, well, you said the image of Haiti that has been painted is one of voodoo and poverty. In fact, according to Josh Whedon, half the work of writing history is hiding the truth. And the presentation in Caribbean thought serves to inform and inspire people to appreciate this beautiful, the presentation in Caribbean thought serves to expound and to provide insight as to how this is done and being done to the Caribbean region. Okay, you see how I worked it into. You start to it would have been good for you to start by the second sentence when you could have started. You should have started with this: the image of Haiti that has been painted is one of voodoo and poverty. In fact, according to Josh Whedon, and I quote, half the work of writing history is hiding the truth. Therefore, the presentation in Caribbean thought served as an insight to expand and to expound or to provide or to highlight how this is done and being done in the Caribbean or to the Caribbean region. And then you could say after that, the international community has gone to great lengths to keep people in poverty because they fought for and gained freedom. Most Caribbean islands lack solidarity towards them. That's an accusation. Is that okay? Fine, but is that true? That kind of thing where you said most Caribbean islands lack solidarity towards them. No, that statement is powerful. When you said most Caribbean islands lack solidarity. No, in some sense, I agree with you. I do. Okay, I agree with you that most Caribbean islands lack solidarity towards the Haitian, because when you see the kind of support we are getting from the petition that we are doing, okay, and even some backlash some of the backlash that we are getting from some Caribbean people would speak truth to what you have said here. What has been the support of Caribbean people? Some Caribbean islands won't even allow and look down upon Haitians, don't even want the Haitians to come into their country as refugees or to seek asylum. Okay. Some Caribbean islands, they don't want you to spend in those and help to alleviate the poverty because they are looking on their own. We're poor, and so yeah, that's and then of course you could even point to one of the letter. Okay, you did. You said the talk began with and then you begin by saying the talk began with a brief description. So that statement is a profound. It's as if you're making a premise. A statement like that definitely would need support. You don't want to leave that hanging. Okay. Then you said the talk began, but I agree with you, by the way. The talk began with a brief description of Haiti's history. Recent elections in Haiti, a struggle for democracy and rebuilding Haiti, the role of international support, a struggle for democracy, discussed the 1994 election and how Haitians organized nonviolent protests against voting fraud. It explains how Caribbean countries, including Jamaica, stood by while injustice took their Caribbean brothers and sisters' place. Jackson, Jonas, and Jodel Trembling were acquitted after a contentious trial. Jonathan, you were giving us just a summary of the report here. But anyways, somebody asked about what solutions. What solutions are there? But you pointed this out in your presentation about how in 2004 in the 1990s, 1994, that elections, They were organized. They had a relatively peaceful elections or non-violent election. You know, and if Haiti can do that, then it means that they can have elections. And then somebody talk about Keisha said we need to get rid of gangs and get rid of and have elections. How do we do that? But then, of course, in 1994, they did just that. So if they did it before, they can do it again. So foreign penetration in Haiti, in popping up a de facto, it's kind of interesting that they will pop up a de facto president, okay, who is holding on to power without facilitating any kind of democratic restoration. And then the Haitians are calling, some Haitians are marching, calling against that. They're saying we want to have an election. We want government. We want to operate as a democratic nation. But the person in power is objecting to that. And you have those outside of Haiti, outside of the Caribbean, who is, in a sense, promoting a regime that is against the restoration of democracy. So in a sense, it seems conspiratorial. And we talk about elite, you know, how some people within a make it bad for others. We talk about the house slave mentality. Anyways. But of course, you know, that's how you could interact with that in a sense. But anyways, you continue. You said reviewing the article and the presentation resulted in specific finding and observations. One. And you could say, why reviewing the article in the language? Okay, that's I won't say I know it's okay. It's reviewing the articles and presentations resulted in specific findings and observations. You could why I would like to lift up some presentations. So I would like to lift up some findings, some key findings and observations from my reading of the of the articles presented in class based on the presentation and
check the chat.
But that's fine. Are we late? But you made an important point here that I wanted to go through. You said we learn about the field enslaved persons, and the enslaved house persons thought they were thought they were superior to the enslaved field persons. They were unaware that they are all enslaved. Most Caribbean countries have the same stance regarding Haiti. Okay, so you are other Caribbean countries must realize they will suffer the same treatment. But this was important. Now, this is an important point I wanted to raise from your article here. You said that other Caribbean countries must realize they will suffer the same fate, but as Haiti, if they revolt. If they revolt, or if they were to surreptitiously take have gotten their independence, but you said took their independence instead of gaining it, because global power dominate our education, so on and so forth. But I made the point. That you made some powerful points, and that's about it. You made some I just want you to remember to interact, have a conversation with the argument. Okay, have a conversation with the argument. Okay, Judine. But let me see, who is this? Maybe he is not. What's that? Oh. So okay. I know, but we'll end it. We'll wrap up from that. But you made some very good points from that. Okay, but later on, just developed it in a more deeper conversation. And you could just interact with I know you were trying to include everything in an interaction paper, but in fact, you could also highlight a particular aspect and interact with it. I understand that 37 Haitians arrived in Jamaica on a boat yesterday. I was not aware of that. In fact, I was all over social media and I did not see that anywhere. 37. Okay, what were today?
Today it came out. Today it came out. So you probably wouldn't have seen it yesterday.
Okay. So probably later on tonight, I'm probably going to see that 37 Haitians arrived in Jamaica on a boat yesterday,
including children, including minors. And and the boat is so small. I wonder how so many of them holding that.
Oh wow! So what are Jamaicans saying about that?
I've not gotten a chance to look at the comments yet because at the time when it was posted, not many comments were there.
Right there. Okay, I'm gonna end.
You can go on Instagram and Twitter, and you'll see.
Yes, I'm about to go. As soon as I end the class, I'm gonna go and read all about this particular story, what's going on in Jamaica. I'm gonna end the class now. I would like you, Dane, to submit your paper. Keisha had a good paper. Several of you have other papers. When I'm done, I'm gonna finish marking the papers and I'll make my comment. Okay. But and if you others of you have papers, right, especially with this whole Haitian thing going on right now, and 37 came to Jamaica, they're probably going to would publish your story right away because that's what's going on right now, this Haitian thing. And so you want to jump on that, Dane, and send that to the Gleaner real quickly. Do your corrections, one or two corrections. There's some stuff that were highlighted, but apart from that, you want to submit it. I can't wait to publish it, but I'm going to wait to publish it. If after 2 days the Gleaner doesn't publish it, then we will publish it in our website, because if the Gleaners see that I have published it, they won't publish it in theirs. Okay. But I want, all right. So I would love for you to submit it to the Gleaner, and also to letters@jacobin.com. I'm sorry, letters to the email I sent you, letters to Jacobin. That's about it, guys. And Keon said, I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned it. Yes, I know. I mean, sometimes we don't get it. We get it like in a few minutes later on. But thank you so much, guys. It was a good class. We missed one or two people where it was absent today. But on Wednesday we will continue. Where we were supposed to do Frantz Fanon. So Wednesday when we come, we'll begin looking. We'll resume Frantz Fanon, talking about Frantz Fanon, the Martinican, and then we're going to talk about Oh, Chantel Burton, where were you?
So I mean, because I had a family emergency thing, but I just came back, sir. Sir, remember you have the corruption film to show them as well?
Yes, for the next class. Yes, the Frantz Fanon. So we're going to continue with Frantz Fanon, and Walter Rodney, and the story on Bishop. I think I talk about in my book Neoliberalism. I think I talk about the issue with Maurice Bishop in this. So I will publish a little bit of it for you. I didn't even go. There's so many things. This course, the material in this course is so much to get into, but that's fine. But guys, I want to thank you guys, and I can't wait to come out to Jamaica and see you guys. Okay. Okay. Really, I'm gonna see you guys, and we're gonna have a big group thing together. Hopefully, all my Caribbean thought. I want to have a thing where I want to invite you all. Okay. We're gonna meet together, because we understand that we guys, because of the online thing, people are not really all over the place. So hopefully when I come, I want to plan something where all of you are invited. This is good. But I pray that you continue to grow and to develop, familiarize yourself with the material, and we'll meet on Wednesday. Okay. If you guys continue to read the Gleaner, submit articles, have Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, LinkedIn, Reddit, TikTok, engage, right? Yes.
Sir?
Yes, Chantel.
I think I'm also would have 3 to 4 more classes remaining. The person should start with doing their sign-up papers already to send it to you by the end of the course, so that before the exam starts. All right.
Did you hear Dane's presentation today? I mean, his paper he read. Good. By the way, you guys all have your attributions. You are all great students. I'm telling you that. Okay, I appreciate every single one of you, the efforts you guys are making and the development I am seeing. That is great. And okay, and I appreciate the opportunity to facilitate this course. Thank you guys. May God bless you and keep you, and continue to be great. And remember, don't keep what you have learned for yourself. Share it with others and empower others. What good.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye. We'll talk, Chantel.
Okay,
I know we didn't talk today. I tell you, I've been busy. We have a lot on our plate. A lot. I'm overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed. I'm telling you, but we'll talk.